And Logan is a prick who is just trying to throw his money around and try and repair his rep.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand over here.
Why?
Stand over here. Just your hands.
Because he has been there, Chris Eubank Jr.'s sympathetic response hits home. Because fighters know what it's like to have your body and mind suddenly threatened outside of the ring. Additionally, his remarks highlight the discrepancy between real-life experience and online theatrics. Reputation is currently being engulfed by that divide. And I'm telling you that this isn't finished, because animosity like this doesn't go away on its own. Later, when no one is expecting it, it bursts. Tony Bellewu discusses Joshua's personality despite his injuries and disorientation. Respect locks in at that point, because Joshua stands for something stable and grounded, even in the midst of chaos. And when you combine that with the ongoing controversies surrounding the Paul brothers, it creates a moral contrast that fans are unable to ignore. And whether or not individuals deserve it, I can feel the story solidifying, hardening, and becoming something that will accompany them for years. And that's scary. The rumors of purported SBI monitoring are still circulating today. Additionally, I must exercise caution, because investigations focus on facts rather than emotions. However, perception can be equally harmful. And because every old grudge, every thoughtless post, and every previous stunt is being scrutinized again, perception is currently radioactive. And I can't stop thinking that there's a piece that hasn't been made public yet. Something that, when it drops, will split this story in two.
Two officials in Nigeria, they ran into a stationary truck while trying to change lanes on the roads. Just a horrific accident. You know, I don't want to start, assigning blame to something that I don't have the report for, but
Thus, the tension is where we end. Anthony Joshua is grieving and recuperating. The boxing community is holding its breath. Whether justified or not, Logan Paul and Jake Paul are under suspicion, and the truth is still concealed someplace in silent rooms, phone logs, and papers. Furthermore, stories that begin like this never end neatly. Therefore, I don't like how incomplete this feels. There are shocks in the conclusion. Indeed, I'm concerned because the next upgrade might completely change everything, and you'll want to be here when it occurs.
Alexander Usyk said, "This is an unbelievable loss. Sinna and Latif are two incredible people who were not only part of AJ's team, but also friends. My sincere condolences to their families, loved ones, and everyone who knew them. Anthony Joshua, wishing you a speedy recovery. Stay."
If this continues to spiral, the consequences will not only damage careers, but also erase legacies. Thus, the conclusion is already written and unpleasant. Now go back in time with me, because just hours before the globe stopped, Anthony Joshua was arranging fights and laughing with friends when allegations surfaced that Logan Paul and Jake Paul were suddenly being investigated by the FBI. And I'm thinking, nah, this can't be real, while I sit here looking at my screen, because the entire boxing narrative was just blown up by one collision, and all of the big names associated with it are either sweating, hiding, or praying. Nobody is prepared for this to become something darker.
That's bonkers. Thank God he didn't have a seatbelt on. I never say that. Thank God he didn't have a fucking seatbelt on, because if he did,
There's no way.
he would be dead.
There's
Probably,
no way.
or fucking severely.
This is when things get tense, because there were rumors that Joshua's accident raised issues that no one wanted to ask about. Additionally, we received posts from the Paul brothers that appeared chilly, disconnected, and almost careless, despite fans' expectations of silence or prayer. My stomach plummeted at that point, because timing is crucial in this sport. Furthermore, poor timing can appear to be guilt, even when it isn't. And this voice in my head keeps telling me, someone knows more than they're saying. Every time, someone does. And this is the point at which tales like these typically become toxic.
Be there for them and the family, anything they need. You know, sometimes when someone is a star, they have a lot of things in their life taken care of for them. So you really have to move into that mode in this situation as well. Make sure obviously they're getting the best medical attention, make sure their family are safe and happy.
Since this isn't trash talk or pay-per-view hype, the entire combat community is aware of Anthony Joshua's battle for recovery. This is actual loss of blood. Additionally, it didn't feel like support when Jake Paul's response appeared on the timeline. He felt as though he was already preparing for collision due to the distance. Because fighters are the best at reading energy, fans could smell it right away. Additionally, the energy was strange, erroneous, and unnerving, like a storm cloud that was just out of frame and ready to have a big impact.
Anthony Joshua injured in car accident. 2 people who I believe were with Anthony Joshua were friends of his have tragically passed away. Before I carry on reading the article, the 2 people who have tragically passed, my condolences is all I can say to their friends and families. We'll definitely offer up some prayers for them.
Then Logan Paul tweets, and I swear the temperature drops an additional 10 degrees, because once more, the tone is too flippant for such a serious situation. And I'm seeing accusations, inquiries, and demands for answers accumulate in the comments section. When 2 brothers who are already embroiled in scandal respond in this way to a tragedy involving Anthony Joshua, people begin making connections that may not be appropriate, which is why you can sense the paranoia growing. However, once they are drawn, they cannot be removed, and this is where the danger lies. Compare that mayhem with Alexander Usyk intervening like a true champion who ought to show humanity respect and sorrow. And because one side is aware of the price of this life, it's like witnessing 2 distinct worlds collide. Additionally, it appears that the opposing side is imprisoned by algorithms and optics, and there is an excruciatingly audible difference. And when things go wrong, you start to question who truly belongs in this sport. Who only prosper when the spotlight is lucrative and enjoyable.
Sure if there was someone in the stationary truck. I'm not sure about that, so I'm not going to report on that, but the truck was stationary. And Anthony Joshua's SUV struck the stationary truck.
Because he doesn't farm clicks or politicize it, Joe Rogan's response cuts through the clutter. He simply looks at the fact that Joshua managed to avoid something that might have put an end to everything. And since it serves as a reminder of how close this was to being irreversible, the silence he provides is more powerful than shouting. While everyone else speculates, he's considering damage and scans, as well as how brittle even the strongest heavyweights actually are when metal and speed are involved. Because he rounds the wagons, defends his fighter, and focuses on the families who lost everything, Eddie Hearn's approach exemplifies leadership under duress. And since it highlights the boundary between accountability and opportunism, seeing it next to the Paul brothers' online behavior is startling and even embarrassing. And here's what no one wants to say out loud just yet, but I will. There will be a public test of this line, and someone will fail it.
The human cost keeps getting heavier
when names like Liam Gore appear to describe the loss of Joshua's close friends, the human cost only increases. because this is more than just battle schedules and recuperation timelines. This is trauma on top of sadness. Additionally, it feels disrespectful whenever someone views it as content rather than a disaster. You can tell who genuinely cares and who is merely attempting to survive the backlash when emotions are this raw, which is why I'm saying it.
The days where he could get seriously hurt. I don't believe Josh would have. I believe Josh might have some compassion in him.
Then Turkey permits remarks to be said, and all of a sudden, we are discussing potential long-term effects like brain damage. And because brain scans alter professions, the emotion shifts from shock to worry at that point. They alter people's lives. The Paul brothers' initial responses appear even worse in the midst of that seriousness. For example, they either didn't want to or didn't read the room. Additionally, I can't shake the feeling that someone is currently in a panic behind the scenes, fumbling, erasing, phoning attorneys. It's palpable.
Joshua injured in car accident. 2 people who I believe were with Anthony Joshua were friends of his have tragically passed away. Before I carry on reading the article, the 2 people who have tragically passed, my condolences is all I can say to their friends and families. We'll definitely offer up some prayers for them.
With that icy clarity that makes everything seem arbitrary and terrible, Showbiz, the grown-up, sets forth the crash specifics. A halted vehicle, a lane change, a typical moment turning deadly. And the fact that tragedy doesn't require villains to be terrible makes the speculation even worse. However, suspicion won't go away once it's in the room. Additionally, the spotlight on Logan and Jake Paul, who are already divisive personalities, is getting hotter by the minute and is about to explode. The footage of Anthony Joshua just hours before the crash, full of life, joking, and dreaming, and then abruptly cut to this nightmare, is what makes this intolerable. And since this wasn't a planned play, that emotional whiplash is the reason why fans are so enraged at anything that appears thoughtless or performative. This was genuine. Additionally, it feels like a breach of the unwritten pact that fighters adhere to when the Paul brothers appear distant. Yes, that may sound harsh, but suffering sharpens judgment.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Joshua, future heavyweight Hall of Famer, has been in a severe car accident which killed 2 people. He is severely injured. He's still alive. There's footage out there of people helping Anthony Joshua out the vehicle. We don't know the details of what happened, if they was in a car accident, if they was just swerving around and lost control. We don't know, but my condolences go out to those who lost their lives. Hopefully it was just, man, a terrible accident. And also, hopefully Anthony Joshua will seek the medical attention that he needs. You know, check the everything, the head, the scan everything, x-ray, MRI, because we don't know if that could be internal bleeding as well. You know, adrenaline is pumping and you may feel like you're not okay, but you got to check everything. But hopefully he heals well and Godspeed. And again, my condolences go out to those that lost their lives.
One negative tweet can have a greater impact than 1,000 explanations, which is what truly confuses me about how quickly narratives solidify. Logan Paul is aware of this. Jake Paul is aware of this. They developed professions based on their knowledge of attention, but for some reason, this moment slipped. Fans are increasingly making connections between things that may not even be related, and once it begins, it is difficult to stop because grief makes people suspicious. Furthermore, suspicion doesn't wait for evidence to support it. I can't stop thinking about Turkey Al-Sheikh bringing up potential brain issues and how that alone ought to have put an end to everything in terms of respect and silence, because brain trauma ends eras. I also wonder if Anthony Joshua's career has changed in any way as a result of this. I don't think Jake or Logan completely understand how ruthless fight fans become when they believe a true champion, especially one who has always held himself with dignity, has erred. The hatred toward anyone perceived as disrespectful will only grow. Yes, this is my human perspective. I'm neither a journalist nor a lawyer. I'm just a fan who has followed this sport long enough to anticipate storms. Anthony Joshua is currently surrounded by silent strength, prayers, and support. Logan Paul and Jake Paul, on the other hand, are surrounded by questions, distrust, and noise that won't go away on their own. And this tension will continue to build, tighten, and wait until the whole truth is revealed. As if something is poised to break, and no one knows who it will cut first. To be honest, this is just human instinct speaking. I no longer think Anthony Joshua sounds like a boxer when I mention his name. When Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren talk, you can hear in their pauses that this is no longer business. So it sounds like a man bearing a weight that no one trains for. Additionally, you can tell that something significant is going on when Joe Rogan stops talking. Additionally, it feels strange whenever Joshua's name appears next to Logan Paul or Jake Paul, similar to two timelines that were never supposed to collide. And it in and of itself infuriates people. This is what I think. Indeed, I may be mistaken. But perception is already suffering as a result of Jake Paul's and Logan Paul's past being brought back into the spotlight. And that is neither unjust nor fair. It's simply how people respond to trauma. Additionally, Joshua is surrounded by a wall of respect when Liam Goh, Tony Bellew, Chris Eubank Jr., and Alexander Usyk talk with empathy. The Paul brothers feel alone because of their previous decisions, and loneliness can be harmful at times like